or actually good afternoon, as it's about 3:30. This is me, Frank Fry, the Gaming Geezer. And this one is about interpretation. It is a video response to Runeslinger and Same Old G to a degree. Now, first of all, I agree with Runeslinger. The ethics part of this has been done and probably discussed a great deal, and I really have nothing more to add to it. But I think interpretation of how these scenes happen, how you interpret them, the effect they have on a campaign, is very, very relevant, and to me still important that we look at and talk about it. Especially since the game I want to really talk about right now is Call of Cthulhu. Call of Cthulhu is probably one of the hardest to actually get people to play, because the immediate thing coming in is we're all going to die. We're not going to survive. We're not going to win, which I tend to look at as a result of too much computer gaming and too much zero-sum thinking. So as we take a look at this topic, I want to tell you some of the things that have let us assume for the moment that we've got about 4 people, which to me is the maximum ideal group for something like Call of Cthulhu, at least to do the real horror. I will take more to do these sort of World War II pulp Cthulhu, but that's for another time. So you now have 4 people, 4 players. They have their characters. We'll say you're in the 1920s, the classic setting. And once you get them introduced into the story or the mystery, which you could do in any number of ways, what are their expectations? I guarantee you 9 times out of 10, it's probably going to be something along the lines of, I'm not going to survive this, man. My character's going to die. Okay, well, it does happen. Player character death in Call of Cthulhu does happen. It doesn't happen as much, at least in my running, as people think it does. It really doesn't. Now, if you look at what Runeslinger talks about, he talks about things that do happen and the resolution, or the reverberations rather, that it has. One of the most interesting of these in Call of Cthulhu that can be used for any number of things are the sanity rules, especially if you make it so that the player character who does go crazy does so in a quiet way that nobody's really sure what's wrong with them. It really, I think, adds to the sense of mystery. What did he do? How does it affect the group ongoing? Because now you have to deal with one of your own party that's gone crazy. And one of course, the big ways you go crazy in Call of Cthulhu is reading books of ancient and horrible lore, although with some of these titles, and you hear about them, I think nowadays there would be a tendency to kind of read it for a few pages and go, oh, Jesus, this is bullshit. Throw it against the wall and leave it there. Modern day skepticism. Why are you suddenly going crazy? Why have you lost sanity after studying this book? Because what that does is it discourages people, actually, I think, from seeking information. It has some very horrible long-term effects. And they've got actually rules in there now for skimming the books. rules, for studying the books. Oh yeah, you'll get it done in about 12 weeks. Okay, well, it's a lot of cheerful reading. But does this mean that just after 12 weeks, you suddenly go crazy? Well, hell, you can almost mark that date. But that's really something that that any Cthulhu game master or lore master or lore keeper can probably work around. The important thing is introducing the book, because now the players have a dilemma. Do they read it in hopes of gaining knowledge on how to deal with the horror? Perhaps finding a spell or an incantation or whatever. And I think one of the important things about Call of Cthulhu as well is getting there is half the fun, sort of. Well, if you like that thing, think it's fun. But what I mean by that is trying to figure out what the threat or the menace is. So it could be a number of things. It could be, who knows? The always the inevitable evil cult. Some other public manifestation, so on and so forth, that you can dig past, and you finally find exactly who these people are, and more importantly, what are they up to? Well, we're the order of the we are the Order of the Silver Twilight, and that was an actual in-game group, NPC group, and we we're into tea and crumpets and little social affairs. Oh, and by the way, also raising great Cthulhu from his tomb in Rillier to ravage and destroy the world. That's part of the fun. And I think playing, the cultist can also be fun. Because one of the things I always like to do is play NPCs against stereotypes. I kind of like to interpret that. What about the evil cult leader? This, you expect this kind of shabby-looking, drooling maniac, but what if she's an attractive and rather charismatic, businesswoman or debutante, member of society, somebody who is very gracious to the characters, at least outwardly? Now that kind of puts them off. And it makes the final revelation perhaps even more horrible. Anyway, what Runeslinger has brought up to me is very important. It is interpretation, and it is trying to take a look and hoping that you have done this right. In your campaign, in your world. Now, I used Call of Cthulhu because it's the one I'm really most familiar with and really into. There are a lot of other games as well. Hollow Earth Expedition, which moves off a different vibe, and I find that to be very interesting. But overall, I would like to close this out by saying that yes, interpretation is very, very important, and so is honesty. So is ethics. There's nothing worse than, in my opinion, realizing that the GM's just handed you the keys to the car, and gone, dude, it's all yours. It's okay, man. This ain't gonna hurt. You're like, why did I bother? Why did I bother? Okay, well, I hope I've made some sense. And until next time, This is the Gaming Geezer, Frank Fry, going on and on. Remember, have fun, play games.